So, hey guys, how y'all doing tonight? Welcome to the Lady Nighthawk Show. And we have a special guest here with us. You know who he is, but we thought he was coming last week. The emergency came up, he wasn't able to come, so Donald and I, Donald really carried the show last week. But my voice is getting a little bit better, you said, right?
It's a lot better.
Yeah, so that's from you guys praying, so I appreciate you. Continue to pray for me, please, to get well. It's been going on 3 months, almost 4 months now, and I'm seeing folks, so. But the big folk is that one up there. That's the one I need the prayers with, because he says by his stripes we are healed. So that's the one. In Jesus' name, please. Okay. So I'm gonna move on from there because we're not on a church show, but I can say that on this show, right? So I want a new minister in the cloth to introduce himself, because you know him by one name, but he's going to tell you who he is, and then I'd just like to give him his credit where it's due. And so I'm going to Reverend Levin introduce himself, but he's going to tell you his business first that we know him from.
Sure,
so
Paula.
people not confused,
Please, Paula.
Okay, and then we'll let them know you can marry and bury and do whatever.
Okay, Paula. Well, I appreciate that, Paula.
Okay.
Thank you for having me back on your show, and I do really appreciate it. And wasn't able to be here last week, but my name is Ross Levin. I am the executive director of Roots of Mankind. We are a nonprofit located in Greenbelt, Maryland, right in Prince George's County. We provide housing counseling services, first-time home buyer education. We do financial empowerment, and we also do foreclosure prevention. And we also work with veterans as well.
Okay, and you just recently got licensed as a minister in the cloth, and so.
Yes, Paula, I did actually. I went ahead and went online so that I was able to go ahead and marry people, as well as the other things, unfortunate death is part, and bury people as well. So I'm able to perform those services as well.
In the state of Maryland?
In the state of Maryland, that is correct. Okay,
so that's another resource for you, and I as well, just so you know. Donald, you got some surprises for us? Because that was a surprise for me tonight.
No, just same old, same old.
Okay, introduce yourself.
Donald Bell. I am here in Greenbelt, Maryland. So I'm here in Prince George's County. I'm local. And I appreciate being back on the show. I appreciate your viewers allowing us into their homes to talk about important issues, issues of the day. So thank you, Paula, and thank you, viewers, for allowing me to be on the show.
And I thank you both. And you were really missed. I just want you to know, because we were really looking forward to seeing you last week. But I understand.
It's been a while, Paula.
I understand. So, it's with a threesome. We've been around together for a long time. So
we have.
When one half is missing, you feel like your foot's cut off. Okay.
I understand.
So you were telling us earlier about a new program that you heard about. If you could.
Well, a new law went into effect. Governor Hogan went ahead and signed it into law. It's called the Maryland Homeowners, I believe, Renters Stabilization Act. And what it does is it goes ahead and creates a new office for tenants to be able to reach out to that office for people that are being evicted from their homes. Because as I don't know if you know this, Paula, but Maryland actually is one of the few states that has the lowest filing fee for evictions. So it also goes ahead, and what's also important is it goes ahead, and when homeowners are ready to go ahead and sell their home, they first have to give tenants the first right of refusal. Now there are some jurisdictions, say for example in Baltimore City, where they have to go ahead in Maryland to offer tenants the first right of refusal. But what this does is this actually goes ahead and makes it statewide. So that way it's also one of its goals is to promote homeownership as well. And then obviously give tenants protections.
Okay, so they need, what office is it that they need to check on that with?
There's a new office that's going to be opened, and what it is, it's called the Office, it's called the Office of, I believe, the Tenant Advocate. And one other thing it does, which is important as well, is that it goes ahead and it makes it law so that you only can charge 1 month's worth of security deposit, which is actually a great thing for tenants, or for renters, should I say, because sometimes, because of people's situations, landlords think that they can go ahead and they can charge 2-3 months worth of security deposit, which makes it very hard for people to move.
Yeah,
so
the default prior was 2 months plus the first month. So people typically would have to come up with 3 months rent. So if the rent's going to be $2,000 a month, it would be a 2-month security deposit plus you got to pay your first month's rent.
Right.
So you have to pay $6,000 in that example. So I guess what you're saying is
only 1 month. They're only allowed to charge 1 month's worth of security deposit. So that makes it very affordable for someone to move into a new home, or into their new home, shall we say.
Okay, so is that for rental property, or is that for housing?
That's for renters. It's only for tenants, not for homeowners.
I know that's different. I just want to make sure that you know that it's not for home ownership, it's for renters.
Well, it promotes home ownership because...
Well, I mean, yeah, it does, but I don't want them to go out there thinking that they can go out there and purchase a home and don't have to have that money that they have to put down. Whereas if I rent a place, that I don't have to come up with all this money either. Okay, but it does lead to home ownership, because at least if I go and I pay my mortgage, rental insurance, rental payments on time, every month, then I can go out and have good credit and then go out there and purchase a home.
Absolutely.
So one does lead to another, which actually is a very good thing. Now I had something here that I thought that I had sent to you guys, and I looked here.
So Paula, I also wanted to just bring up one important thing for veterans. We have been talking about a moratorium on foreclosures for veterans, and the ending date of that moratorium is coming up in May. I believe it's going to be May 31st.
Yes.
So veterans who you're behind on your mortgage and you've sort of been sitting there, you haven't really done anything, I'm going to encourage you to get in contact with your servicer, with your mortgage company, because that moratorium that the VA put on VA loans is going to end May 31st. I mean, right now it is like we're coming up on the end of April when we're taping this show. So I know it'll be played throughout the month of May, but May 31st will end that moratorium. Also, the VA did come out with some new guidelines as it relates to you being able to get some type of help as it relates to being behind on your mortgage if it's COVID related. I believe they brought back what was called the partial claim. And so just to take all the legalese out of it, basically what happens is with the partial claim is they take the payments that you're behind on and they can put them on the back of the loan, and then you just start back over making those payments. You get to keep your same interest rate. So that was brought back because that program had ended in October of 2022. And a lot of veterans who had issues still pertaining to COVID after that time frame were sort of left in the lurch and were presented with some modifications that were not to their advantage, where the interest rate was going to increase and the payments were going to increase, and it was make it difficult for them to keep their homes. So those options are available out there. We don't have a lot of time to at least get you into the program, to at least get you on the review. So we need to get you on the review before May 31st, because after that, then I believe that moratorium may end, not unless the VA comes out with something in the next couple of weeks. And people who are behind on their mortgages, in Maryland, once you're 90 days behind, then the that
Foreclosure
process starts, and that wheel starts rolling downhill, and it can become pretty burdensome and whatnot.
And that's for the veterans, but some mortgage companies, if you're not a veteran, it's not even that long. It's 45 days. If you're late 45 days, they can ask for their money.
Well, they can ask for their money, but they can't they can't file the foreclosure paperwork at the courthouse you have to be 90 days.
Okay.
So once you're 90 days behind, that's when they can go to the courthouse and file that paperwork and say, hey, we want to foreclose on the property. I mean, it's a little bit more involved in that. So I'm taking a lot of the legalese side of it. But yeah, once you're 30 days behind, the mortgage company can say, we want you to be completely caught up. We won't take a partial payment. And but once you hit 90 days, that's
and it's
when
a non-veteran person we're talking about.
This is anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's a moratorium on VA loans
Only on
right
VA
now
loans.
throughout the country. But that moratorium ends May 31st.
And there's also a new guidance actually from FHA that they just came out with what's called a payment supplement, where they're able to go ahead, and it's a new modification program that actually just rolled out, and it's becoming effective the end of April 30th, I believe.
It becomes effective.
Yes.
Okay, on
becomes
April
effective.
30th.
Correct.
Okay, so now, the last time we talked about modifications, we weren't advising people to get modifications because the interest rates were so high. So,
Right.
so now has that changed?
Well, what this does with FHA is it's called a payment supplement. And what it allows, what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to go ahead and take the past due payments and basically go ahead and do what's called a partial claim, take it and put it to the back end of the loan. It would be a subordinate deed of trust. It would be a second trust is what it would be. But what it would do, because as we already know, interest rates aren't what they used to be. Rates aren't at 2% anymore. So what it does is it keeps the payment, or should I say the interest rate, stable in place only for a 2-year period of time. Hopefully, if interest rates do go down, that homeowner could possibly refinance or possibly go ahead and get a different type of an interest rate. But what it does with this new program through FHA is it goes ahead and it keeps them at that low interest rate, so they're able to keep that same monthly payment. Because as we already know, we spoke about, sometimes when they do a modification, they have to go ahead and they have to do it at the market interest rate. The market interest rate today, say, is about 6 to 6.5 to say 7%. So someone who currently has, say, for example,
2 or 3%.
2 or 3% interest rate as a fixed interest rate through a modification that they got during COVID, right? They're able to keep that interest rate and be able to go ahead and maintain homeownership, which is important.
So the most important thing when people call me and we're talking about issues like this, the most important thing before we do anything, we have to determine what type of loan you have, because that'll determine what type of program. If you have something called a government-sponsored enterprise loan, so if you have a loan through VA, through FHA, through Fannie Mae, through Freddie Mac, and then there's some people who even have them through the rural program. What is it called?
The USDA.
USDA. So if you have one of those type loans, we have to look to see if there's a program. Some people don't have those. Some people just have what's called a conventional. And a conventional loan is not one of those that's like one of those government protected loans. It's just, it's a conventional loan. And you may not have the same rights that someone who has an FHA or a VA loan may have. So many of the programs that we're talking about relate to what we call government sponsored enterprises. Enterprises or institutions that were
GSEs
that were completed. That were created by the federal government to help people with home ownership. So, and that's probably about 67 to 70% of the loans in this country.
Right.
fall within that. But, there's about 30% of loans that fall outside of that. So, those are some of the things that we look at to determine what type of rights you have. So what Ross or Mr. Levin was talking about here was, these rules are constantly changing. That's the reason why we enjoyed coming onto the show, to let you guys know, because the last time we were here, FHA didn't have this program.
Right.
And, it had gone back to the point where if you were getting a loan modification, you were going to get market rate.
Mm-hmm. And which was going to be 7, 8, 9%.
Well,
Which is
probably
6.5 to 7%.
6.5, 7%.
Right. Depends, yeah.
Mhm.
And if you had a 3% interest rate, that meant that your payments were going to increase significantly.
Mm-hmm.
But now what we're saying is some of the programs that they had in COVID have been brought back, and instead of your interest rate increasing, it may not have to increase.
Yeah.
What you may be able to do is get those payments, put them on the back of the loan, and start back over making your regular payments.
Now that
But
makes
that's
sense.
only if you have an FHA loan
Only if you have an FHA
or a
loan.
VA loan.
Okay, so that makes sense on why this piece of paper came to my house. Because they know I give out information, and so it's somebody that usually sends me information. You got a dollar bill up underneath that chair there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just
I've been looking at it for a while.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
sitting
In case he'd have left it there.
Yeah, leave right there.
Thank you, Paula.
Mhm. They give me information. That's our first time. That we
Yes.
offering.
Yes.
The first
That's our first
time.
offering.
Well, Paula, I appreciate that.
Okay, anyway. So they send me information, okay, because they know that I do this show, so I get information. So I was trying to figure out when I was going through, and then there was some of the stuff that I sent to y'all that I was looking for y'all to look at, but you didn't get it because something was
Yeah.
going on with my phone. It always something. It seemed like when it's something very important that y'all need to get, something goes on with this phone, okay. But they did send, it was a thing back in there about the HALF program. Now, I don't know whether or not that it was saying that they could apply for the HALF program. Now, I don't know whether that ends at the end of April or not, okay, as well, because home assistance program that's in Bowie, that ends at the end of April. And, if you need some help, the guy said, don't be sending people in there at the end of the month, tell them trying to get some money for, home assistance to fix the house and stuff. Don't do that. But you can tell them and let them know that if they could have gotten in here by today, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or I would say I would let Monday. I wouldn't let Monday go past, and they can call the city office and try to see if you could get money to help you with your get a new roof or the house
Right.
fixed.
But
that program ends at the end of this month for Bowie.
for Bowie, right.
Uh-huh.
But it's important for your viewers to know that if someone's behind on their mortgage, that there still are programs available for people, and to go ahead and take action. And the only action they have to do is call the mortgage company. There are free resources available that they can go ahead. They can go to HUD.gov and find a housing counselor to go ahead and assist them.
Or they can give you a call.
Or they could call us as
you
well, or
call.
call Mr. Bell to go ahead and speak with Mr. Bell or myself about what their situation is. But there are resources, there not only resources, but there are programs available. And some of these programs out here, a lot of your viewers are only hearing about this for the first time on your show. That's why it's so important to spread the information, because when you have the information, you're able to go ahead and help so many people. Because just because someone's behind on their mortgage, if they have an FHA loan, they're able to go ahead and see if they qualify for the payment supplement. If they have a VA loan, they're able to go ahead and get a partial claim to go ahead and be able to get the loan current, so they're able to maintain and retain their home ownership. Because just as hard as it is to go ahead and buy a home, it's just as hard to maintain the home as well, and keeping payments on time and in doing repairs and things like that, and that's some of the stuff that we talk about in our home buyer classes. But it's important to know for your viewers that there are programs out there, and we know, Mr. Bell and myself, know that there are people that are still affected by COVID. Whether it's through illness or through a reduction of income. And there is help available.
And that's why I think that the HALF thing came through the mail, because just like they revamping some of these, they giving people some more, because they still got money that's sitting out there. But I think that they need to call and check, because I think that they have a deadline. It might be the end of this month as well.
Well,
okay?
I think some of the cities, what you're talking about, some of the cities may have money. But from my understanding, as far as the state is concerned, the Homeowners Assistance Fund, that was the money that was given by the federal government. That program basically ended in mid-August, early September, because the federal government pulled back any funding that it had for the state program that we were talking about. But I do think, because you did clue us on, because we weren't aware that the city of Bowie was actually had a fund, and they were giving people money to help fix up their homes and things of that nature. So I don't think Ross or I even knew about that until you brought that information in. So that was good information. And I think that's what you're talking about, because I think the city of Bowie sets aside a certain amount of money to assist people.
Year.
Yes,
they do it every year, and so you know, by the time you see this, you probably only got 2 days to do that, because I do not want you to walk into that man's office on the 30th of the month and say, I sent you there. Please don't do that, because I would think that all the money that they would have been able to give away would have been given away by the end of the month. That's just
well,
my thought.
You never know. So
I don't know, but I would be not a good person not to tell you that there's money that's out there, you know, for right here in Bowie, right just now, that's available. But I know that end date ends at the end of this month. Also, about the loan modifications for your student loans. I need for you, because the president, they were trying to make him look bad when he tried to pass that, that law, that's saying that, if you qualified, that you could get some of your student loan, depending on where you work, what you did. You had to fit the criteria, but you could get some of your loan forgiven. And so I'm telling you that you need to call studentaid.gov, and you need to check and see when that last date is for that, okay? They will help you, assist you, and they have different programs as well that can assist, especially senior citizens, okay? If you got student loans sitting out there, like I got out there, yang. But anyway, that they can help you with, student loans that you have out there. So I'm telling you, call studentaid.gov and talk to somebody. Now, I'm gonna tell you this scam that got ready to get run on me the other day. So I want you senior citizens and everybody else to be careful. I don't click on links, okay? So if you get something, don't click on the link. So I got this thing from this company saying that they sent me a receipt saying that they were gonna take this $475 and some odd cents out of my account, right? And they said you can call or click on the link. I don't click on links. I called the company. I know daggone well that I did not ask for whatever they was trying to sell, right? So anyway, the long story short, I know better, because I was IT manager. I know better. You never let anybody take over control of your computer, okay? They tell me they can give you the receipt, but they have to go on your computer, okay? That's a no-no. Hang up the phone. Click, okay? If you know you didn't do it, then tell them, I did not do this. I'm going to call the FBI, and I'm going to call my banks, and I'm going to tell them that you're putting a claim against my bank account for something that I did not purchase, that I did not require. So you need to check your bank accounts out, because they're phishing. That's what they call them, phishing expeditions. They're trying to get information from you so that they can go out and get this money. but they're going to tell you that the only way you can get the refund is that they have to send you a receipt, a request for a refund of your money. Bull crap, okay?
I wouldn't even talk to them. I wouldn't even
I say
entertain
click. Oh, yeah. But I say
I
click.
wouldn't even call them.
No.
If anyone calls you, I would not accept the call.
Yep.
If anything comes, I wouldn't even do that, because
Okay.
anytime you're talking to somebody, they're gathering information.
Right.
So anything that you tell them they're gathering information. So it may be a situation where they may call you this week and they may get one piece of information,
Yeah.
and they call you the next week, they get another piece of
Right.
information.
Right.
And these people have nothing to do but just gather
Get
information.
Right.
And so by the time the fifth or sixth phone call happens, they've gotten enough information
That
to
they can
maybe
do what they
something.
need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So because maybe they get your date of birth from somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe they get the last
doesn't
four of your
matter.
social
Yeah,
or something like
yeah,
that.
it doesn't matter your address,
So
where you live.
if I were you, I wouldn't even entertain the phone call. Don't
I
even
knew
take the
better.
phone call.
Yeah.
My sugar was down.
Yeah.
And I saw that. Like I said, I don't click on links. I don't even answer phone calls, but because
Yeah.
this was on my email, okay, I know I didn't get nobody my email address, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you that they're getting it from someplace.
Right.
Now let me tell you where I think that they're getting
So I
it
think
from.
as soon as you get anything like that,
Just ignore it. My son
ignore it.
say,
Number one,
And then call your bank.
and then call your bank.
Yeah,
to see
that's
if
what
any
I say.
transactions have occurred.
that's right.
And then you notify your bank, hey, I got this,
Yes.
and I don't know where it came from. I didn't click on it, so
I didn't click on
So
it.
they know. So your bank knows that if anything suspicious happens, and once you notify the bank, then if anything suspicious happens, then in all likelihood, if money is taken out, it'll be put back.
Well, it will. They said all you have to do is do a dispute. That's why I'm trying to tell you, because it's income tax season and they talk about all these scams that are being run, okay?
But don't give people any information over the phone.
And don't click on anything. And like you said, don't call anybody, okay?
Well-
Hang up the telephone. And then when you get off that phone, go in there and create an account for that person and say it was fraud or scam or whatever you want to call it, and then block the call. They're going
That's
to
a
call
good
you on
idea.
another number, but every time you see it comes up, then you
ahead and do that.
create an
That's a good
account, say it's
idea.
fraud, it's spam, it's whatever you want to call it, and then block the number. As many times they can play that game, you can play that game as well.
Yeah, I think it's a big problem with seniors because they have a natural inclination to just answer the phone, and some people are just very trusting, and they're thinking they're giving out sort of innocuous or unimportant information. But any little bit of information that you give out can be very valuable to someone who's trying to run a scam, because they only need like a small amount of information.
Right.
First and last name, maybe your middle name, because they get this information because what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out what your passwords are.
Right.
So a lot of people use like certain
Date of
things,
births and
like date of births, or they may use
names,
their
last
middle
name,
name or
yeah.
something like that, or their mother's name as a password. So don't give out any information over the phone.
Right.
And I'm also saying this, if you have done that too, also call your your phone provider and ask them to check your phone see if there's any malware or spam that's on there, because if you got your internet on your phone, that's just like having it on your computer, okay? And so if they could get you on your computer and you get mail from your phone, then you don't know how much accessibility that there is. So I would suggest if you get something that look like I look, that you also call your provider and ask them to check your phone to see whether or not anything malware, spam, or anything has been put on there, because it's hot. They just said it on the news last week. That this is income tax season, and a lot of people are taking advantage of people for that purpose. The other thing is to make sure that you do let your bank know, because they don't want to hear it after the fact. They want you to hear it the same time it happens. You call them then, and you tell them this is not me, and if it happens, and they're going to make a notation, okay, and get the person's name that you talk to, the time and the date that you talk to them as well, okay? So I'm just telling you, there's a lot of scams out there running. Be safe out there, and we're telling you that, look up these programs, but don't click on links, folks. Call studentaid.gov about your financial aid. Call Fannie Mae, What about your home mortgages and stuff?
Well, you need to get in contact with your servicer
Your servicer
and your mortgage company.
and the mortgage
Right.
company directly. So don't be taking no
Yep.
numbers off of no computers. Okay, you should have those numbers. Okay, if not, look up the one that you have
It should
on
be
your
on
bill.
your mortgage statement. It should
Yeah,
be on your mortgage
you look on the
statement.
one on your bill. Okay, and you call those numbers because they give out fake numbers. You don't know. So to be safe, don't talk, don't give, don't do nothing. And with that, we're gonna say good night.
Good night.
Good night.